What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Strength Solutions Podcast. We're on Apple and Spotify. You can rate reviews. Check us out on YouTube. Leave a comment down below. Subscribe. And put us on top of your notifications because we are the best. Then, strengthsolutionspodcast.com. We have free blogs, free guides, and programs for purchase. Email strengthsolutionspodcast@gmail.com. Social media, Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram. Strength Solutions Podcast. I'm Strength Solutions Edwin.
I'm Strength Solutions Nathaniel.
Okay, dude.
Let's go.
The best diets for your goals.
Mm-hmm.
And what I really want to do is go through these diets and talk about the pros and cons of each.
Okay.
And so I want to start with something like the keto and fasting.
Okay.
And so the biggest pro here, it teaches your hunger signals.
Mm.
And it also puts you in a state where you're actually using your brain more efficiently.
Yeah.
So
fair.
when you fast and you get more effective at thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there becomes a point where you're too fasted, right? When you're hungry and that's all you can think about, food. Yeah. But try this. I've tried it.
Yeah.
I know you try it.
I mean,
when you train, sometimes you have to.
Yeah. I mean, I intermittent fast almost like by necessity, not even just because I want to or anything, but like you said, with our schedules and things like that, I mean, there kind of is no time to eat, like it's just like client after client or, okay, I got to use this time to work out or whatever it is. So, prioritizing, I guess, what you do. Now, I find personally, and this is just me, maybe other people feel the same way, but I find that when I eat in like a time where I'm doing something, it's game over, man. I'm ready to go to bed. I'm tired. I'm relaxed. I don't want to do it anymore.
But the carbs hit hard.
Yeah. But if I'm not eating, like you said, like if I'm fasted, like you said, I can think, I'm ready to go. I'm alert. I'm awake.
Isn't it crazy? Sometimes it gives you more energy.
Yeah, really. I mean, I utilize it a lot. Like I almost like play with it, where I'm like, okay, I know I can't eat until, this time or whatever, because then I'm done. Mm-hmm. But I can also know that, all right, when I eat, whenever I get home or whatever, then I know I'll be more relaxed. I won't be all trying to go everywhere and stuff. So intermittent fasting, I think, like you said, in terms of behavior around food is pretty good.
But where it lacks is if you're someone who wants to go into performance, because carbohydrates play a huge role in performance.
Yeah.
Nutrient timing plays a huge role in performance. So if you want to get stronger at the gym, your fasting is not going to help you. Keto probably won't help you. But if you time your carbohydrates and your protein before your meals or before your workouts, you'll do a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you are fasting, you can time that stuff, right? And be like, okay, well, I know I work out at this time. But I think with that also becomes a difficulty of like trying to always be consistent at the same time you work out.
Yeah. Like you'd have to have a very consistent schedule.
Yeah. And that gets hard for the average person.
All right. So the next one is we're to go to the two extremes, carnivore and vegan. Mm-hmm. And what these are really good at is to teach you how important meat is and how important vegetables are. And they're both okay.
Yeah.
Now, there's also people who need these extremes, right? Because they don't digest meat very well on the vegan side, or they may not digest plants very well. And what they do really well, again, is teach you, especially on the vegan side, how to cook these and make them a lot better for yourself.
Yeah, that's actually an interesting point because like eating vegan, I think a lot of people just think it's like raw salads and eating, shit all the time. Or they go like completely processed, right? And they're just buying all this frozen food and everything like that. And they're like, I'm totally vegan. But yeah, I think one of the great things about it is that it really teaches you, like you said, how to like cook food well,
Yeah.
Or like complementary proteins, and learn how to like combine things together to be more nutritious. And get all the proteins that you need, outside of just eating meat, animal products.
So like, and then if you're carnivore, learning how to eat things like liver, intestines, and things like that, right? But there's a lot of nutrients in these things. I remember going to Puerto Rico one time and my mom literally grabbed the eyeball out of the fish and just ate it.
No shit.
But if you think about it, there's a lot of nutrients in the eyeball.
There has to be, yeah.
It's like a gusher. Delicious.
Yeah, I mean, organ meats are a huge aspect of eating carnivore. Like now, I've heard different things on this, but I believe that you have to eat them if you're going to eat carnivore.
Oh, you have to. No, there's no way. Because there's so many nutrients that are in those things.
Lacking, right? If I'm just eating ground beef all the time, that doesn't necessarily translate well. So you do have to. Now, I don't think that you got to go eat like fucking testicles and stuff like that, but I'm sure that
balls are good.
I'm sure there's actually a lot of nutrition in those too. But yeah, I mean, learning how to do that stuff and organ meats, I think, are actually a pretty large portion of most cultures. I just don't think in America so much we eat them all the time. But in every culture,
well, it used to be like a delicacy, right? Because it was so nutritious. It was a way to honor your guests as they came in. You give the most nutritious part of the animal.
What an interesting like cultural aspect,
right?
Yeah.
It's like we knew innate as humans that this is the best part.
Yeah, the nice stuff, the fillet. I've never had any organ meats. I don't think I've ever had any.
I've had liver mixed in with ground beef, and you don't really taste it as
much.
much.
That sounds pretty good. Yeah.
And then another diet is the Whole30. I really like this in the sense of you're taking a lot of foods that are very high inflammatories. And if you have like allergic reactions to things, you'll see like, okay, my inflammation's gone.
Yeah.
Where again, it may lack a little bit is in the performance side of things because there's not a lot of grains and stuff like that, carbohydrates to kind of help you get going. But it does really good with inflammation. Also, it takes away a lot of food groups from you, and it's very simple.
Yeah.
Very whole food processed, right? There's no processed foods you can have at all with this.
Yeah.
So it's a really good overall kind of way to eat.
Yeah, and it kind of goes hand in hand with paleo, the next one that on our list, where it's like focusing on whole food, right? I think those two are maybe more of the balanced versions of like diets, fad diet type things that are out.
I could say I eat closer to Whole30 paleo-ish.
Yeah.
Right? And in those two diets, but I add a little bit of carbohydrates. I add a little bit of like, I'm going to eat fucking dessert. I'm a regular human being. I'm not like, hey, bro, it's got to be all like, you got to hit this, you got to hit that. Like, no, most of us are not extreme people.
Right. And I think, like you said, the two things that they both lack are like grains and things like that. So you won't get any at all, really. There's no.
I mean, just rice.
I guess rice is like the only one, right? I think, I don't know. Does paleo allow like quinoa and ancient grains and stuff like that?
I don't think so. And I think they don't allow potatoes.
Oh, what? No potatoes. Yeah. I'm out.
Out like. And so the last diet I want to go is if it fits your macros.
Oh, okay. I was like,
and the reason
IFMA. Yeah.
If it fits your macros, because it's a really good diet in the sense of it'll teach somebody how to get their body to look really well, how to track their protein. But where it falls short is, have you ever eaten like this where you can even eat like protein bars and stuff like that? Your body doesn't feel as strong.
No,
as having whole nutrients.
And you also just feel not good. I can't like really explain that as a whole, but it's just like,
it's a different feeling. Like your body doesn't feel full.
Yeah. And I tend to feel like I'm really getting to realize that my digestive system is very,
sensitive, like your emotions.
Yeah, I don't want to say sensitive, but it's very.
Okay. You can cry on here. We're a family network.
Yeah, it's very telling. Like it'll tell me right away. Like, I didn't like that. This is not good. I feel bad, and I find that whenever I'm kind of just, if it fits your macros, where you sort of just do whatever, right, as long as it fits within protein, fat, carbohydrates, and calories, I guess. It doesn't work the same.
I could tell the difference when I start eating protein bars and shakes and I take those away and I have mostly whole foods.
Yeah.
My body feels completely different.
Like, dude, today I tried a different protein. I was at, I think it was just at the fucking gas station, and there's a brand called Rise. Rise. And they're like a pretty good brand. Like I've seen them around and things like that. And there they had, and I've seen this concept before, but this is the first time I've seen it like out in the wild, so to speak, called clear protein. So it's just like protein.
Like what, piss coming out? Or
it's almost more like pre-workout-esque, where it's like fruit flavored and stuff like that, where it's not like all like.
Isopure used to do stuff like that.
Yeah. And so I was like, maybe this will feel better. Like I was like, let me try it again, because I just, at this point, I've stopped taking all protein supplements because I just can't digest it well. And I was like,
sorry, you're sensitive.
I'm a little sensitive, yeah. And
a little emotional. It must be the nails.
I tried it today. And I had like 3 or 4 sips, and I was like, like this shit just doesn't feel good. Yeah. Shit. And so I was like, it's just ain't for me, man. I just can't do it.
It's like me and corn.
Yeah.
I see people with corn on the cob so jealous. Just staring at them. They're like, why are you staring at me? Because that corn looks so good.
Corn on the cob's all right, man. You're not missing too much.
Bro, get the corn in your face.
All juicy, squirting everywhere.
I can't have the corn in the cup.
Elote?
Elote.
What?
Can't
That's,
have
man, yeah, that does suck. Have you found any like a substitute for corn?
So no, but also I was talking to Amanda one day about like maybe my gut is healed and better because I eat a lot better, and I could try corn.
Maybe you should like microdose it.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about. Because you know how you microdose peanut butter, and you don't get allergic to peanut anymore.
You buy a can of corn, you eat one kernel every day. Double it every day.
Double
1,
it.
2, 4. You know,
until you start throwing up.
Yeah, until you start being real stinky.
Dang, your breath is stinky.
Sorry.
My bad. All right, so let's go on to some topics and stuff. So I think I sent you this, but there's a fitness influencer who was talking about on a magazine kind of thing, and this person had an article how you pretty much should take steroids if you want to be a fitness influencer.
Damn.
And it's a popular person.
Yeah.
And he was like, I took steroids and I did all this stuff. Now I'm on TRT because, you know, everything messes up. And it made me really think like, it just shows you like how unrealistic a lot of these guys' bodies are because they're taking a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And also like how, I don't know, I don't want to say like sad, but I guess, yeah, just how sad it is that that's sort of the state that we're in right now. You know, it's like, I don't know if I totally agree with that, but I will say that it's probably a lot easier, you know, to become famous or get a lot of clicks or likes or whatever if you're huge and jacked.
I mean,
right?
you could get away with a lot too. I mean, I've talked about this. Like, I know a guy who was eating like Raisin Canes all the time. And you're taking HGH. You could eat a lot of calories and get away with it.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess it just goes back to, I don't know, like extremism, I guess, because it's the same thing where it's like, okay, if I'm an OnlyFans girl or something. Do you
think a little bit is the fight back is the extreme of functional patterns and them not being so big and they're like, this is naturally the human body? Is that the other extreme of it?
I guess it could be, but I don't know. I'd almost say like that's maybe a more moral standpoint, I guess, of it all.
It's just gonna start happening. We don't do steroids here. We're naturally strong,
right?
We do functional patterns.
Because no matter what, even in today's time where we've become like so more progressive and like open about talking about stuff like that, you open up the comments on a post like that, and everybody's like, "Oh, boo," you know, like stay natty. That's why I'm natty for life. Like blah blah. And there's still like this, like a stigma, I guess, against it.
I just think people are just into other people's lives. Like, who cares if he took steroids? That's great. I think I would rather just people be honest. Fuck it. If he takes steroids, at least he's honest about it.
Yeah,
like,
true.
I just hate it when they're not honest about it.
Yeah, that's the problem, right? And so I don't know. It is difficult to be anywhere in the fitness space if you're not, you know, the 0.1% of the population. Like, people just don't find any credibility in you. Even
that's why it's amazing what Jordan Syatt has done.
Yeah.
Although he's like 1%er when it comes to lifting for his body weight.
True. That dude's strong as hell.
Squat University, like those guys, they're not super huge, but they're very intelligent.
Yeah. And I guess it just all ends up being, in my mind, like it ends up being on the extreme end. You're either super smart and have all these credentials, you're either super jacked and crazy ripped, or you're really, really strong.
We love the extremes.
Or, yeah. And it's just always about that and how do we get more of it.
Did you know you're probably stronger than your brother because the younger sibling is the strongest?
I saw, that was actually pretty funny. And it's like, I guess I understand, because what they were saying is that the younger sibling ends up having to like do battle, you know, with the older siblings at some point, which is totally true.
It makes sense.
Yeah. You're the youngest?
Youngest boy.
Okay, youngest boy.
Yeah, which...
Did you and your brothers fight?
Yes.
You
know what? I'll give you a crazy story. I could tell you this story. There's, I'm the youngest boy. I was into fitness and I was lifting and I was like in shape, and we're at my brother's wedding.
Okay, so y'all are older by now.
This is the day my oldest brother got married.
Okay.
And we're in there, and my brother, who's the middle brother, right?
Okay.
We were wrestling, and dude, I fucking killed him so bad that I was laughing, and that's the only way he would turn me over. And then I would stop laughing and then get back on top.
Oh, like focus up,
like
lock in,
yeah. And I was like, this is so fucking easy, right? He won't admit it.
Yeah.
If he heard this right now, he would never admit it. And I just remember that's the day I was like, fuck, I passed up my brothers, like in strength. And it's crazy to me because the whole time you're the one that gets bullied, and you're the one that like,
and you gotta stand up to it, you know?
Yeah.
And I can only imagine if you had 2 older brothers, you're probably fucking fighting off 2 people at the same time.
Yeah. Dude, it was crazy. That's the funniest story. I just remember that moment, and we were there, and then my mom was like, why are y'all still fighting? And we're like play fighting still.
Right.
We're in our 20s, play fighting.
It'll never end, dude.
Never
ends. My brother and I still do that.
Men don't change.
No.
We still act like kids.
Yeah.
Speaking of acting like kids and men who are single fathers do better than women who are single mothers, right? Statistically. And red pill people love to pull this statistic out. And I had a conversation with a client, and I was really thinking about this. And there's no like clear like duality to think. Everything has very complex.
Sure.
It's very complicated. Like
layers.
Oh, porn is bad, but in this situation, porn is good, right? Now, I would argue porn is probably mostly an issue for most men.
Sure.
But like in a relationship, it could save a relationship because they don't know how to be intimate with each other. So I was thinking about this, and I was thinking, this is why research is bad, because statistically too, it's complex. So if single men, right, we're picking out of a biased group of men who had won their chances to get their kid. A lot of men who are not good men would probably leave that kid. So we already have a biased opinion there.
Yeah.
2, in society, it's easier to find the feminine figure versus the masculine figure, right? Because when the kid is young, they have a lot of teachers that are female, not male. So very caring. You won't get that male influence until high school. And so by then, it's too late for a kid when they hit high school. Very rarely the coach is able to flip that kid.
Yeah.
And so that's where there's no masculine at a young age to teach kids discipline.
What an interesting like way to look deeper into that.
This is what I did on my walk, bro.
Yeah, because on the surface you'd look at it and you'd be like, oh yeah, guys are just better parents or whatever, or they make more money or whatever it is. But like you said, the child gets all of these like needs somewhere else, right? Outside of just having a mom. Well, it's not the same, right?
And you have a biased opinion on the men that are willing to win the child as their
right. So
because
like,
in society, it's more acceptable for the women to have.
We're already looking at like a higher quality of man, right? Whereas a lot of the times, I feel like it just gets kind of pawned off on women, right? You're just supposed to take care of the kid. You're just supposed to do this, whether they have the means to or not. But yeah, that's a really good point because I mean, in elementary school, I think I remember having like one male teacher.
I never had one in elementary school.
Yeah. In middle school, I did. In middle school, there was male teachers, but in elementary school,
But it's already, by then, it's too late.
It's too late. You're already,
I feel like elementary school years are the most vital to children.
Yeah. Huh. How interesting.
Dude, this is how my brain works. And I was like, what happens is we're in a society that is so complex, but yet we still have an animal brain that likes to simplify things.
Right.
And we keep on falling in all these traps. Like people will back like Republican side till they die, or back the Democrat side till they die, because they're trying to look at things as a simplistic thing. When in reality, there's a lot of duality and a lot of individuality in everything. And they don't take each case one by one. I understand why the brain does that, because it helps simplify it and makes a clearer vision. But at the end of the day, even when we're working out and we're looking at modalities, if you don't know a bunch of different modalities and I'm just CrossFit or I'm just a bodybuilder, there's other benefits to make you better at other modalities to make you better at the modality that you're already good at.
That you're missing out on, right?
Yeah. And then I also got this sent by you because you wish we worked remote. That remote people, we need a fucking study for this that says remote people are happier than people who go to the office.
Yeah, and it's like they've done.
You just cut 2 hours of the trip. Right?
It was like a meta-analysis, I guess, where they had looked at like a lot of different research articles about this, which, I feel like we really started looking at it during COVID when people were sort of forced to be at home. And Now, I don't know if it looked into like productivity and all that other stuff that I'm sure businesses are worried about. But in terms of just like happiness of the employee, the human, the individual, families, etc., things like that, it's cut and dry, super simple. People are happier at home than they are in the office.
And, you know, I would say about productivity is your good employees are probably more productive. Your bad employees are worse productive.
Sure.
So it breaks even.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like at the end of the day,
but if you figure out who your bad ones are, just get rid of them.
Let them go. Yeah. And then, you know, I would even argue that maybe this is better because you can really see, right? Like, okay, I can see just stats and statistics of who's logging on, who's doing this,
who's logging on, who's actually completing work, who's not actually completing work.
And then I can just say, all right, I'm going to cut the fat, right? You know, I'm going to get rid of all the people that aren't.
Boy, did you help me get fat?
I'm going to get rid of all the people that aren't worth it, you know, and just, and maybe more incentivize the people that are.
Yeah. And then, dude, I was walking on the treadmill and I was watching. Apparently there's a study out there that 1 in 4 children who have a parent, they're struggling with addiction.
Wow.
That's a big number. That's
huge.
That's a quarter.
Yeah. Did they? It
was just on the TV. I didn't see it. Okay. I just saw the headline. I was like, I just saw the headline and thought to myself, like, this is wild.
That's huge. And I wonder if
it has to do with divorce. It has to do with the stress of society, not feeling safe and secure in anything that we're doing, the social media and the extremism of social media. Like all these things are like boom, 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 making these people stress out.
And I think there's so many more and accessible things to be addicted to. It doesn't always just have to be drugs or alcohol or whatever. It could be fucking, I don't know, social media. Porn. Yeah. It could be, I don't know, food, right?
Yeah, food.
And like there's all these different ways where, and I think if you kind of conglomerate all of those together, then yeah, I can see how 1 in 4 would struggle with a parent.
But think about it. If it's 1 in 4, that means people do not feel good.
Yeah, right.
People do not feel safe.
That's at the end of the day. That's the problem, right? Something is wrong. That 25% of children have a parent that is struggling with some kind of addiction. You know, that's bad. It's not good.
And then I know your favorite drug is Roundup. You love that Roundup.
This is about being close to
golf courses.
Right? Yeah. And so golf courses, of course, have to have an extremely tended to green
got to
space.
Get that round right.
And so I guess they're using a lot of these like weed killing chemicals and stuff like that, which, you know what, I've been learning a lot about weeds. Okay,
it said 126 greater chance of receiving Parkinson's because of
God damn, that's crazy. And you know what's also interesting is that old people like golfing and old people also get Parkinson's. Now, I'm not saying there's a direct correlation. I'm just saying let's look at it.
Well, it makes sense. I mean, there's a lot of chemicals in the air. You're trying to like. It's funny because people don't even think about the lotion they put on. Your skin's your biggest organ, and you're like rubbing this in, and it absorbs in there.
Just everything and anything.
So your sunblock plays a role in everything.
Yeah, it's also interesting. Like I was saying, just like weeds in general. Weeds just refers to anything that you don't want. Like that's all it is. There's no such thing as like a weed. It's just shit that you don't want. And so like the chemicals that they're putting inside of these like, you know, products and stuff like that. I can only imagine there's got to be so much in there because if you want it to kill everything but, you know, this type of grass, it's got to just be a fucking concoction of just crap, you know, like to spray on any plant and have at least one of those things kill it, you know, like it's got to be not. And hasn't this company been sued like 1 million times, like class action lawsuits for like shit, dude? And they're still around.
Talks about how much money they have.
I don't get it, dude. Who the hell is buying this shit? Golf courses, I guess. God.
Well, people still in the stores. People are still buying it.
Yeah, dude, it's ridiculous.
Because it's Roundup.
Yeah.
Because when you get your account, you want to round it up.
That's what you do. Yeah. And then you forget because you have dementia, so you just buy more.
Then before we go into studies, I was listening to Mike O'Hearn on podcasts.
On Mind Pump? Yeah.
Did you hear it?
I saw a little bit.
It was actually really good to listen to him talk. And he was talking about how we've made fitness too complex. And he didn't say it in that way, but he pretty much says we just need to simplify. It's just be dumb. Like people are making it too hard.
Yeah.
And he was like, I still do incline bench press and look, like I just make sure I feel it. And then sometimes I do it mostly. He does 405. He's like, that's like 70% of my max. But he also talks about how his genetics are amazing genetics. And then he talked about his siblings, and people don't realize like how much genetics plays a role in everything, you know?
Yeah. How many siblings does he have?
I don't recall.
No.
I think he said 10.
Yeah,
like 9. He's like the 10th one.
Oh, okay. Goddamn, that's. I was watching a clip of them literally before coming in here, and they were talking about like being natural and like using steroids, kind of what we were talking about in the beginning of this too. And he was saying that he feels bad for like a lot of the like young people who go and start blasting stuff super early. And he was like, all you're trying to do is like win a bodybuilding trophy, and you're not going to be doing it by the time that you're my age. You just won't. And he was like, you have so much potential at a young age, and to just go slow and really kind of like work at it, and get as much as you can out of your body,
your natural
ability, right? Like with genetics or whatever it is, to maximize that. And he was like, save the free ticket, save the TRT and stuff for late, when you actually really, really need it. But not doing it now, because you see people, like I was watching another video. I forgot this guy's name.
Before you go
ahead.
He was saying that because, and if you keep on going, because you just saw the clip, because these kids are ruining their joints. And he's like, the reason I don't have injuries is because I went slow and steady over time.
Yeah.
And your joints take time to catch up to your muscle, right?
Yes.
And so if you're going from like 0 to 100, then your muscle's like growing so fast. And I remember the first time I took TRT and to help with my low testosterone, she was like, hey, make sure you take it slow on the way up, because you're going to get real strong
really fast. But yeah, I was watching another video where there was this kid, and he was like 17 or something like that, and they were showing like his workout, and I mean, he was just doing insane shit. If it's real, right? I mean, regardless, this kid was huge. I don't know if he was really 17, blah, blah, whatever. But it's like, okay, dude, I don't think that you get that big, at that age. And so
there's some people who have genetics,
sure,
I will say, and they just are genetically gifted plus steroids.
Yeah. And
Ronnie Coleman's a perfect example of a good combination.
True. Yeah. I mean, like, I think that they were saying, I saw something else the other day.
Ronnie's mom would whoop my ass.
That Ronnie Coleman is probably like the most muscled individual to ever like pretty much walk the face of the earth. Like, and it's like, dude, he just hit the genetic lottery. That's just what it is.
And I don't really think it's the lottery for longevity too. I think he's going to die younger, because
that's an interesting perspective.
We talk about that and they're like, oh, it's so awesome to be tall. Well, tall people don't live as long.
Yeah. Got too many working parts. Too big. So that's why it's better be a short king.
Better be a short king. All right. Study number 1. Can the brain be targeted to treat type 2 diabetes? Successfully treating type 2 diabetes may involve focusing on brain neurons rather than simply concentrating on obesity or insulin resistance, according to a new study. For several researchers have known that hyperactivity on the subset of neurons located in the hypothalamus, called AGRP neurons, is common in mice with diabetes. So they found these neurons. I don't know. Did you read it?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Okay. So they found that in mice that have diabetes, that there's like a hyperactivity of this group of neurons, right? And normally, I feel like, I guess with diabetes, we kind of almost treat the symptoms, right? Like we treat the insulin resistance, we treat the obesity, things like that. And while sometimes that is the cause, there's also this other factor where we're not, if you have diabetes, you're going to take insulin forever, like that's kind of the thing. Unless you live your life totally strict, and you just like never do normal stuff. But they find that with these hyperactive neurons that there's maybe a way to, I don't know,
stop them from communicating. There's a toxin that they use. Tinnitus toxin, and it prevents the neurons from communicating with other neurons. Unexpectedly, the intervention normalized high blood sugar for months, and despite having no effect on the body weight or food consumption.
It's crazy, dude.
So they literally controlled their blood sugar, and it allowed people to keep their lean body mass and not gain weight and stuff like that. It made me think about when I listened to this premenopause episode, and that
with the
perimenopause. It was a long time ago.
Oh, okay.
And she was talking about it starts in the brain like 7 to 8 years before.
Wow.
It was wild.
Yeah, and I wonder how like the inclusion or progress of this type of research will affect things like Ozempic and stuff like that is used for diabetes. Are they going to keep it around? Yeah. Are they going to just say, no, it's a weight loss drug? We're going to use this instead for diabetes? I don't know. Interesting.
It's wild. Right?
Or maybe a combination. Who knows?
All right. This next study, school dinners may encourage picky teenagers to eat better, says new study. Having school children rather than packed lunches could encourage picky eating 13-year-olds to eat wider variety of foods, according to a new study. The research showed that when children who are picky eaters at preschoolers got to choose their own food, school dinners at lunchtime, they were less picky in what they eat and compared to the packed lunch group.
So when I was reading this, I was kind of cracking up because the whole time I was like, what the hell is a school dinner?
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. And it was funny because I showed it to Camille and I was like, dude, what the hell is this? And she was like, oh, it's just like, they just mean lunch. They just call it school dinner. And I was like, God damn English people. Just call it lunch. But I mean, it makes total sense. I pretty much do this with my daughter at this point. So like usually I would make, food or do whatever like for dinner, throughout the day and things like that. And, sometimes kids are about it. Sometimes they're just not, And so I was like, okay, from now on, we're going to go to HEB and I'll have you pick stuff that you want to eat. And if I make dinner and you don't want it, then you have this other thing that you can have. But we'll pick them together, right? So you're not just like picking some crap, right? But every day, every week, whereas before I would buy her stuff and say like, hey, I got you these things for the week, and it would just be all left over, because she didn't want it. But yeah, I mean, it just makes sense, right? Like if you have a choice in what you eat, as opposed to being like, no, you got to eat this shit,
And two, I think kids are inherently smarter than people give them credit.
Oh yeah.
And I think they know what's healthy for them, or people know what's going on with their body. They just got to pay attention, and kids do pay attention to stuff.
They're better.
But when you're doing stuff for them, they never do it.
Yeah. And it also takes away that like autonomy, right? I mean, like we do it with everything else, or we try to, right? Where it's like, let them learn, they got to make mistakes. They got to figure it out, And so it's like, okay, well, if you let your kid pick and they're like, I'm going to eat hot Cheetos all day.
Sometimes them eating 3 cupcakes and throwing up is a good thing.
It's a good thing. Like, yeah. Cause then they're
I'm not supposed to have that.
That sucked. That didn't feel good. So you got to let them figure it out. Figure it out.
Yeah. Be the example.
Yeah, that too.
All right, guys. If you like what we're doing, we're on Apple and Spotify. You can rate and review us. Check us out on YouTube. Leave a comment down below. Subscribe, like, and put us on top of your notifications. Website is Strength Solutions Podcast. We have free blogs, free guides, and programs for purchase. Email strengthsolutionspodcast@gmail.com. Then our website, or Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, we're Strength Solutions Podcast. I'm Strength Solutions Edwin.
I'm Strength Solutions Nathaniel.
Peace out. Enjoy. Have fun. Party hard. Love it.